Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chant podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be previewing the busiest weekend in boxing. There's a Matchroom show in Puerto Rico. There's a Magnificent Seven show in London. There's a top tier show. There's a GBM show. You name it, we've got it. Where do we start? What fight do we talk about first? What event do we talk about first? It's got to be a Magnificent Seven, right?
Yeah,
One of the biggest.
For me, this Magnificent Seven card is probably the best domestic show of the year, with the amount of names on it.
Yeah, I think it probably is, to be honest. We said it when we were at the launch press for it, so there's loads of content on the channel. I'll try and remember to put some up, but subscribe, check out the content. We've got loads of great interviews with the fighters. It's just stacked from top to bottom, isn't it? It really is.
It is, and you look at the fights you got. Am I allowed to go on a rant here? Normally I've been told I have to. Go on then. Okay. Oh, for God's sake. Lawrence Okolie's heavyweight debut, and for me now this is long overdue, because against Chris Bellum-Smith there was a lot of question marks about his weight, and he looks like he's struggling. Went up the Bruiserweight, easily won that Bruiserweight world title, and now he's fighting in the heavyweight division, and it'll be interesting to see here because Dillian White's fighting a week later. I think that's potentially a good matchup to have sometime in mid-2025. The main event, I think, speaks for itself. I think that's going to be a brilliant fight. Brad Paul's, the Nuki Bomb, coming up, what's this now, his third main event in a row, two incredible fights against Nathan Heaney. Denzel Bentley coming in the fight with back-to-back stoppages. Brilliant. Sam Noakes is fighting Ryan Walsh, have I got that right?
Yep.
Ryan Walsh. That, for if you're looking at a fight of the weekend, because there's like hundreds of them, that's definitely up there in the top 5 of fights of the weekend. Yeah. His brother's on the card for the first time ever as pros. You've got a small heavyweight fight between Solomon Dacres and David Adeleye. David Adeley's finally showing up, and he's finally stepping in the ring against Solomon Dacres. It's a great card, and I think Queensberry, domestically this year, with these cards, have been carrying British boxing in a way.
They've done better. I think they have done better than Matchroom marginally. And I think they have. This is one as well, though, that you can't brandish with the Queensberry brush of, it's just prospects fighting journeyman, because it's phenomenal. Yeah. The amount of fights on here. You know, Sean Noakes is fighting an unbeaten fighter in Matthew Rennie. That's a brilliant. Aloys Jr.'s got a good fight as well against Lewis Oakford. Even Lawrence Okolie against Hussein Mohammed. That's an 18-1 heavyweight from Germany. You know, that's no easy prospect to get straight into it. Royston Barney-Smith got a good fight. It's all round. It's such a good card. It's so good.
That Brad Pauls and Denzel Bentley fight as well, it's like, it shows how quickly the sport can move, because probably looking at the two of them like 18 months ago, Bentley obviously losing to Nathan Heaney, and he was not very good that night, but like you were wondering how he was going to bounce back. Then Brad Pauls goes and fights Nathan Heaney as a big underdog and becomes British champion, and now the two of them are probably one step away from a world title shot.
But even then, only via a draw. You know, that Nathan Heaney was another good round in the 7th away from winning that fight outright, because he won the first 6 rounds without a doubt, and then he lost the next 6, pretty much. And that obviously went on to a draw, and then Brad Pauls was confident in the rematch. So it's going to be such a good fight. You know, it really, Brad Pauls, you look at his record, and it very much looks at a guy who has just kept going, kept running it, kept pushing forward, and got to this point that he deserves. And Denzel Bentley, you look at his and you think, you know, that Nathan Heaney fight was maybe a little bit of a blip on a record, and otherwise he's a dangerous fighter.
The last 2 fights he's looked really good.
Yeah.
2 big stoppages as well.
I think sometimes as well, when you're a big stopper like Denzel Bentley, you almost expect that finish, and sometimes you need to not get it in order for you to then go back to the drawing board and realise, no, actually I need to earn this finish. And I think that's what he's had to go away and do. And in this one, I don't think we're going to have the same thing where he's fighting Brad Pauls as if the finish is going to come anyway. But also, Brad Pauls isn't going to fight in the same way as Nathan Heaney, where it's like, I'm just going to win these rounds and get towards the end. I think Brad Pauls will be looking to stop him in his own right. So I think either way, I'm not going to give my prediction now, but I think it probably ends in a stoppage. I don't see it going the full distance.
100%. And when we talk back to that press conference we went to up in London, when you looked at both of them there, Brad Pauls looked a lot really confident. You could see the aura coming off of him, and Denzel Bentley, for me, he was quite quiet and shy in a way. I know that's a little bit stupid for a boxer, but he seemed like keeping himself to himself, just going there to do his media duties. But Brad Pauls looked like, he deserves to be at the top of the game now.
Third main event in a row for Brad Pauls.
You don't get there by fighting mugs. And this fight's got the ingredients of being something very, very special. And Queensberry have done it a lot this year, and they've done it with Brad Pauls, haven't they, really? Those Nathan Heaney fights have gone down as classics. The first one, if it's not in your top 10 in fights of the years or in your top 5 British boxing fights of the years, then do you really know boxing? But Denzel Bentley is going to ask a lot of questions of him, I think. And I think when the going gets tough, when this fight goes on, because I do believe there's a lot of rounds in this fight, and I do believe that like you, there's going to be a stoppage.
I think it'll be a late stoppage for sure. I don't think it'll be an early stoppage. I don't think it'll be a blast
as I speak
out.
right now, I haven't made my mind up.
Fair enough. We'll have to wait till the end for that one. Stick around to the end for our predictions on the Boxing News app. Sam Noakes, Ryan Walsh.
Great fight.
Unstoppable force meets the immovable object. It's going to be a brilliant, brilliant fight. Sam Noakes is, 14 knockouts, 15 victories. Only Mendy went the distance with him. Ryan Walsh has won just a plethora of titles at just every weight class below lightweight, pretty much, to get to this point. And he's not there to make up the numbers, is he?
You look at his last fight. I'm going off the last fight. For me, Ryan Walsh was put in that fight against Reece Mould to lose up in Sheffield on that GBM show, and he just ripped up the script and went, and just destroyed him in, one round?
Yeah, 3 knockdowns in the first
He
round.
battered him, and he rightly deserves this shot at both the British and Commonwealth, and also the WBC International is on the line, and the WBO. There's so much on the line, and Sam Noakes is going to be tested
him for
again.
a European title.
There's that in it as well, because obviously he won that against even Mendy.
I don't believe this is a European title defence. So Cheglia was his mandatory defence for the European. This is a defence for the British Commonwealth belts, and then he's got the WB on top of it as well. And then the next fight, I think, for Noakes will probably be a world title fight, whether it's Burinchik or whoever.
But Ryan Walsh now, for me, he's dreaming. He's 38 years old. He hasn't got long left in the sport, and he's got a massive, massive fight on Saturday night, and he's in the co-main event slot, so hopefully he's going to get well paid for it. And I wouldn't be surprised if this fight either ends in a split decision, because I'm quite high on Ryan Walsh now. I'm giving him the props that he deserves, because that last performance, like I said, he was put in that ring for a purpose, and that purpose was to lose, really. He wasn't meant to destroy Reece Mould in incredible fashion. So it's such a good fight, and I think we're going to be saying that a lot in this episode. It's such a good fight, because this weekend there's a lot of very good fights. Over in Puerto Rico is an incredible fight, and it's what boxing needs. And it's been lately, before Riyadh season, I think Riyadh season's been the kick up the backside for a lot of promoters, that they need to start putting on good shows and testing prospects. And Sam Noakes now, he's not a prospect, but he's going to be tested on Saturday night, and it's great to see him actually taking this fight.
Yeah,
there's loads of good fights on it, and Sam Noakes, with Walsh, he's obviously fought for a European title twice
world
before
title as well.
Yeah, so
beat the likes of James Tennyson.
He's been around,
blasted Gavin out of there.
Level, so it's a good.
He's done all sorts.
All right, Sam. We've talked about Gavin Gwynn this week. Let's not bring the mood down.
Lost to Lee Selby. There you go. There's a Welsh fighter he lost to. There
Happy days. Thank you. Mood's back up now.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he? He's going to be really interesting.
It is a really good card, and obviously said with the Okolie, it's weird to see where he fits in sort of the heavy, because it's so stacked at the minute.
Well, he called out Zhang in his first hit.
I was going to say whether he wants to be the one that wants to jump in with Martin Okolie, since no one else wants to.
I don't know about that. I don't think.
The most avoided heavyweight in the world.
He recently signed for Queensberry from Boxer, going, do you know what? I'll come straight in against your best heavyweight.
Frank Warren is probably thinking, that could be a good fight to make, just to wind the bench alarm even more.
He is a 2-weight world champion, so if you count him Bridgerweight.
I'm not. He is a 2-weight, and I'm being a little bit kind of pedantic with that, but it doesn't hold the same weight as being cruiserweight and heavyweight champ, or lightweight and light heavyweight and cruiserweight champ. The Bridgerweight is just about the least respectable second division to have, but he's still a two-weight and very much has dreams to become a 3-weight, I'm sure. So it will be it'll be good to see how he fares. I don't think he's so big. He made Dacres and Adeleye look small on that.
He made me look small, and that's quite hard to do.
Yeah, I'm sure. But no, I felt tiny next to him. Yeah. But Dacres and Adeleye look small next to Lawrence Okolie. So I very much think he's been a heavyweight that's made cruiserweight in the past, rather than a cruiserweight that's now looking to make
imagine
heavyweight.
Me standing next to him. You know,
you wouldn't be. You'd just be like,
you just see the little Mike. No, when we interviewed him, I said to him before we interviewed him, I said, "How the hell did you used to make cruiserweight?" And he just went, "Oh, it was a struggle." And you could see that in the back end of his days up there when he went and fought Chris Smith. He lost that fight purely because he struggled with the weight. And it's good to see that now he doesn't have to worry about that, even though when he was speaking to us, he said that he's still got a couple more pounds to shift before he's at that fight in... And he's going to be... I can't say he's going to be tested, but it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to that first punch that he gets hit by with Hussein. Because it's different, no matter what. There's going to be a lot more weight behind that punch, and it's going to be interesting to see. But I did ask him, can you see yourself maybe fitting in with the likes of David Adeleye in this, domestic scene? And he went, I want to be at the top of this division. And for me, that Zhang fight is very, very entertaining, but he's probably got his own problems with Caballero. If he can't make that fight, I think Okolie against Dillian White, we're going to see him next weekend over in Gibraltar. That surely is a fight to make, because it sells, and that could potentially sell out the O2.
That screams of a fight that could end up out in Saudi, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I did.
You're waiting for Dillian White to make our move over to Saudi at some point.
Yeah, I think so. But Hussein Mohammed, I think comes in around sort of 250, 260 pounds as a heavyweight. So he's big, but he's not huge as a heavyweight. I think it's sort of 20, 30 pounds over the limit. So he's a big heavyweight. It's going to be an interesting test. But it's whether or not it's not a test that I think Okolie by any means looks daunted by. He looks confident, he sounds confident, and I'm sure he feels confident as well. I don't think it's a bravado. And
for someone who's got that aura and that respect, for someone that high up in the game as well, we were there. He stayed around for everyone. Everyone had the opportunity to speak to him.
Yeah.
A lot of fighters that have been to the top of the game are like, I'll only speak to the big boys, and then I'm going to go off after doing like 4 interviews. I won't say any names, but he actually stayed around and talked to everyone, and I thought,
I think we left before he did.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
we finished up what we were doing before he had, so fair play to him.
They were the people I was talking about.
And then Solomon Dacres, David Adeleye. It's another heavyweight title fight. It's a English heavyweight title fight. 2 great fighters. A fight we've been wanting to have for a while. Lovely bit of needle between the two of them. It sells itself.
I find it quite hard to call as well. I don't know whether it's the same for everyone else, but
yeah, the heavyweight division's so hard because there seems to be such a distinct jump from sort of English-British level up to the world level, and so
like Adelaide's only losses against Wardley,
it just seems so difficult.
Batters everyone at this point,
and Dacres obviously has an unbeaten record, but then Michael Webster
test.
was 2 good wins in that one. It is his hardest test.
It's against someone who's like Adelaide's former European champion, or he at least fought for a European title.
Double check for you. He was the former European champion and then lost it to Fabio Wardley. Exactly. In the first ever British title fight.
In terms of
to take place in Saudi.
Experience, you'd have to say it's Adeleye that obviously has got the experience on his side, but it's obviously one Solomon Dacres has been chasing for a while as well. I think they were obviously meant to fight before something happened. There was an injury or something with Adeleye, or
I don't know the full details of the situation, to be honest. There was plenty of...
This fight was meant to happen early this year, and then it got delayed, and he was injured. And then they were meant to be on the last Magnificent 7 card. Then he got injured. And like he said, he was just thankful he turned up at the press conference, because when we got up the train up there, I was thinking, Adelaide's not turning up here, because he didn't for the last 2 in the row. And it's got... You look at all these English title fights, I'm going to say it quietly, because the last couple of weeks we said it, they haven't lived up to the hype. But this doesn't go past 5 rounds, I don't think.
Do you not think?
No.
I think it might, I think it might. I don't know.
I think Dacres is out there to prove a point that you've been messing me about, you've been avoiding me, and you're going to pay for it, ultimately.
And I suppose when a fighter comes in with that mentality, it generally ends one of 2 ways. They either blast that man out of there, or there's a hole in their defence which the other man uses to blast them out of there. So I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily. I just think it would be a I think it'll be a close fight and it'll be a difficult fight. Another English title fight as well, Sean Noakes fighting Matthew Rennie. This is a really interesting one because Rennie's he's done the small hall scene. He's being given a big opportunity here and he looks confident. He sounds confident, as you would be. But it's not an easy test for the English title. I think you could get a lot easier fights out there for the English title for Sean Noakes, who I think probably is looking to kick on a bit as well.
Yeah, it's 2 unbeaten fighters, isn't it? Like in terms of English title fight, it's quite like the 2 very top tier fighters. And we were speaking on the review show about how stacked the division is, and like these are obviously fighting on English level, but the next step up at British level is like there's so many potential fighters and fights. It's like you can see why they're still sort of at that level at the minute. But yeah, I think whoever wins this obviously will step on. Like got the likes of Conor Walker or whatever, or like there's options there from
Scarf, Whale. There's all sorts of fights at that level.
So like with Scarf, he's the one that sort of has maybe made that jump, or tried to at least. Obviously he lost his last fight, but has tried to make that jump from British. So whether he sort of sets the British side and goes European or higher, and then it opens the British title up for the rest of them, are sort of hanging around that level. But
it's of course as well the first time you get both the Noakes brothers on the same card as professionals. So I'm sure
Big Chuckle brothers.
Yeah, as we called them, they are funny together. And
I didn't realise how funny Sean was until I listened to that press conference, and he's brilliant.
It didn't help we only had one mic. They didn't hard to me, to you. Yeah. They weren't, but it's what it felt.
That's why we're calling them the Chuckle brothers, by the way. Yeah.
Aloys Jr. I was going to say, before we go, how often we get, sorry if you're listening or whatever. But Sam has actually listened to one of our episodes, so huge respect to him for that.
Thank you, Sam.
We normally say that, and we know, like Mick McCarthy, he wasn't listening. We know that. But Sam, maybe if you are, let us know if you are. Let us know.
McCarthy.
Might have done.
He can.
Aloys Jr. Really exciting fighter off his last performance. A lot of talk about him losing on his debut and this, that, and the other, but it all points to him being a very, very good fighter at cruiserweight, and he's fighting a decent test in Lewis Oakford as well.
Yeah,
big fight for you still.
Lewis Oakford's coming off obviously winning that Commonwealth Silver title against Devon Miller back in October now, and obviously back in July as well. Tested John Hedges, and a lot of people are not talking about that. In that fight, I thought Lewis Oakford did quite well, and obviously that cut that he sustained probably was quite lucky for John Hedges in a way that it got stopped. But it's a big test for Aloys here, and it's for the WBA Continental as well as on the line. And it's good that you talk about that first fight, that first pro fight that you lose, and I think that's quite good that he had that quite early in his career, because you can take a lot from that and you can learn a lot from it. And it's the toughest test to date for him in Oakford, but there was a bit of needle between them as well, which was quite interesting. I didn't think Oakford was that sort of character, but it's good to see that he's getting that up. Aloys is getting that out of him now, and he's shown that he's not to be messed with. And
he's only 21, Mike.
Exactly.
That's what's crazy. There's a 12-year age gap, and particularly in those heavier weight divisions, you very much mature into a fighter later on in those heavier divisions. And at 21, we saw how Chris Billum-Smith lost to Richard Riakporhe early in his career, and then when they met later on, he absolutely blasted him out of there, or beat him comfortably. So it's going to be difficult, but if he can start picking up wins like this early, then you've really got to start looking at him and taking notice for that cruiserweight division, don't you?
Yeah, it's, like you said, it's impressive as well, obviously, to lose your first pro fight and bounce back 6 wins on the bounce. And yeah, it'll be a massive statement if he can get the win. It's another one I'm sort of struggling to call, though, in a way. So
yeah, same with me.
It is difficult.
I'm a big fan of Lewis Oakford. I actually watched his last fight against Devon Miller, and he just destroyed him that night and won every single round in that, in my opinion. And yeah, that, like I said earlier on in the show, this has got Fight of the Night written all over it, but all of them do. Because I think everyone has got nothing to lose, because they're all there deservedly. You look at Matthew Rennie against Sean Noakes. I fancy Rennie in that, because we're going to get on the predictions, but he can cause a massive upset because there's no pressure on him. He's been on this small hall circuit. This is just his big day out now, and he hasn't got any pressure on him. He can go out there, enjoy himself firstly, and potentially cause a massive upset.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's other fights in that card, but we don't have time. We're 20 minutes in and we haven't even mentioned the fact that Liam Paro and Richardson Hitchens are fighting for the IBF super lightweight title, world title fight in Puerto Rico. Liam Paro, it very much feels like he shouldn't be the man on top of that card.
No.
He tore up the script and some, but did so in well-deserving fashion. It was a phenomenal performance. It was such an enjoyable watch, the way he just won that fight against Subriel Matias confidently, comfortably, and deserves every second of this, doesn't he?
I like when you said that when they're fighting in Puerto Rico, Matchroom booked this date in months and months ago, didn't they? That Subriel Matias will defend his title here again before Christmas, and then Liam Paro from Australia came along and ripped up that script, and it's great to see. And I was quite thankful that my prediction that day was actually right, that I backed Liam Paro, and I'm a big fan of him. He's a road warrior. A lot of people say my predictions are wrong. Look at the last episode.
Let's get the VAR on that one. I'm
Exactly.
joking. I'll let
Get the VAR. I'm still waiting for the apology actually from Tuesday's episode, but I'm sure it will.
It must have got lost
Christmas.
must have got lost in the mail. It must have done.
Like your Christmas card has. So,
yeah, all of that.
But no, going back to this fight, it's a great fight. I think Richardson Hitchens got tested in his last fight against Lemos. A lot of people actually had Lemos winning, and I think that's probably a decent test to have before this fight. And it's got the ingredients, like I said, again, to be fight of the weekend. But it literally has, though, hasn't it?
He can't get away with this, can he?
Every
single
fight. But it just shows how good this weekend is, doesn't it?
But you got to pick one. You can't just be saying that we got eight fight of the weekend.
Well, it's not going to be this one then. If I'm going to pick one, it's not going to be this one then.
But yeah,
It's
Richardson
gonna be
Hitchens,
Crocker.
I think. What a fight! Yeah. Richardson Hitchens, though, off the back of Keyshawn Davis's performance against Lemos, you're sort of thinking, this might be a more favourable test for Paro, because Keyshawn Davis absolutely obliterated Daniel Lemos in his last fight.
And Lemos was... he was literally double his weight, wasn't he?
And but then Hitchens did struggle against him a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see that. I just love Paro. He's become such the way he won the fight, that sort of very similar to sort of how Gavin looked to try and beat Vong, and the way that people like Lomachenko fight. It's not necessarily about seriously hurting your opponent. It's just winning rounds, and it's going to be interesting. And then the undercards, it's full of Puerto Rican prospects basically, but it's Mark Castro fighting on the card as well, and he fought on the it was the weigh-in undercard, wasn't it, in
Santa Monica Pier, wasn't
yeah,
it?
which was kind of like
the public workout.
Yeah, it was like, hold on, this guy's a very good fighter in his own right. What's he doing fighting in the but
he did GTA in real life though, didn't he? Fighting on the Santa Monica
we've all
Pier.
done it, yeah, absolutely.
Just living a dream.
But it's going to be a great card. I don't know what I'm going to have to, how, it depends where we are this weekend and all sorts. We're going to be splitting our attention between about 5 different events, most likely.
I think it's going to be impossible to watch every fight this weekend.
We probably need about
Near
50 million screens, and even that's not enough.
I swear there's about 10 different shows all starting at the same time on Saturday.
Yeah. It's
There's
going to be
loads.
really
There's
difficult.
loads.
It's going to be really difficult.
That fight should be very good. Like you said, Paro, to go to Puerto Rico as the away fighter against Subriel Matias. It was set up really for Matias to sort of have his sort of night at Puerto Rico, and Paro's not going to want to give our world title up, and he's definitely going to try his best to make sure he keeps hold of it.
Yeah, I think so. On the card, Navarrete and Espinoza, top rank. Gonna say, I don't care enough. I'll say it quite. Apologies if you're American.
It was a wicked
it's great.
fight.
I'm sure it's going to be a great fight, but we have to do our priorities in this one. And we just don't have enough time. We're not going to be here all day.
They were really good last time.
Yeah, so I think...
It's a rematch, ain't it?
Yeah.
Top tier, obviously, briefly. Going to be getting some content from there, certainly, so stick around for that. But Ben Crocker, Stelios, is just a great fight, isn't it?
I cannot wait to watch it again.
Rematch of one of the best fights of this year. If you haven't seen it, I mean, a lot of people won't have seen it because it was pre-DAZN deal for top tier.
And it was and I mean this with the most respect, it wasn't the best of streams as well.
I can't remember what it was.
It was.
Do you reckon I'll be fight the weekend?
Certainly. No, but listen, Ben Crocker now has got this massive opportunity that's been given to him. In his last fight, he won by just 1 point. Should have really gone him out there, let's be honest, in round 2.
Should have been stopped.
And it's great to see now that he's main eventing on a DAZN show. The last couple of weeks we've been watching shows, and all of a sudden they're advertising Ben Crocker is fighting. It's mental. He must be living the dream.
Shout out Dan Francis as well, because he never gets enough credit.
No one ever says
definitely not. Yeah.
But what's crazy is
pay you to say that?
Ben Crocker, February something 17th or something like that. Was the first ever
the
show.
first
First ever show we covered.
Was it January?
No, it's February. It's definitely in February. First show we covered as a channel, and Ben Crocker was fighting on that card. He impressed. He looked very good, and two fights later, he's fighting for a European title fight. It's great to see. Me, not because of Dan Francis.
Dan is fuming watching this right now.
So hopefully, I'm really hopeful he can get through that one. He can get through that fight and get a big fight for himself, either in Wales or elsewhere for another title, because he deserves it. He's been nothing but impressive. I think when we watched him that first time, he looked to cut above, didn't he? And he is only getting better.
Obviously, we spoke with Guy Lockett, and he's been training with Gavin Gwynn, and they've said this really brought the best out of him and pushed him on an extra level, and he looked so good in that last fight.
That's no surprise, though, is it? I felt fitter just watching Gavin. Just watching him, I was like, yeah, do you know what? This makes me feel a bit better.
Yeah.
He's absolute machine, and if Ben goes into that fight even half as fit as Gavin, then he's not going to gas out anywhere near the end of those rounds.
No.
Are we making a prediction?
Brilliant fight, bro.
For it.
We can make our predictions now for this one, because it's not on the
official predictions.
We're not doing it on the Boxing News app.
Going to kick off
and
about next
unfortunately,
week.
there is also I say unfortunately, this seems really harsh, but there's a super middleweight tournament happening on that one. So 2 fights and then a final and third place, I presume, fight. So 4 fights in total for that one. And Tosin, Nigerian boy that we know, based in Cardiff, supposed to be fine on there. Hit injury, sadly, but it's still going to be a great.
One of the fighters is making a pro debut, isn't he?
Constantine Ursu's on there as well.
Yeah, Constantine.
Scary
man.
Very scary man. Yeah,
he
on the interview.
He's dangerous.
Yeah.
In the ring, right? The ring as well.
I'm sure
2 and
both
2 together.
So you say when we do the predictions, we're all going for the same thing, aren't we?
Yeah.
Let's be real.
But how though? That's the interesting.
To be fair,
I think he'll probably punch him in the
a
face.
very good fight.
Do you think he's going to stop him, or
you've got to give it to Stelios? In the first fight, he done very well to come back and almost nicked the fight. But I think with Ben's improved on the last fight, I think he will get the win. European title, be a massive move for him. He'll fly him up the rankings.
I think it'll be a points decision win. I think it's going to go the distance. I think it'll be one of those fights where you're kind of thinking the accumulation of punches, surely one of them's going to go down at some point, and they don't, and they just keep fighting away, and then it gets to the 12th, and they hug it out and whatever. So I think it's going to be a grueling points decision.
I agree. Yeah.
What about you?
I'm going to have to say it now. Grueling.
Oh, you can't say it. You're not
allowed
allowed because you're working for the promoters. You're indifferent.
We know what he's going to say. I'll speak
You've
on
been
behalf
vetoed.
of Ben Thomas. I'll get his message up.
Stelios
by.
So I suppose it's time to jump over to the predictions, because we can talk about
Have we missed anything now though?
Yes,
I feel like we've missed something.
There's
probably about another 10 shows.
GBM show, but I haven't
GBM with Danny Quartermain. With Friday night, Rashid Omar's fighting on a Nielsen show for the Welsh fans. Obviously, there's the American one we haven't. We've hardly touched on. The top tier show's got an unbelievable. Lily Winch is a great fighter. There's top fighters on that card, but we just ain't got time for all of it. So I know you're trying to put it off, Harry, but onto the Boxing News app.
This is where I need to make sure I say my predictions out right.
I actually need to win this week.
Do you?
You do. I think I'm about 4 on the bounce.
So we're definitely doing Paul and Bentley, yeah?
We are doing Paul's versus Bentley on the Boxing News app. You guys can, we're not sponsored by Boxing News. If they want to sponsor us, please do. But
we would love
you're more than welcome to play along with us if you want and do it at the same time, so you can just do what Harry does and go, I'll go for the same as Sam.
Let's start off with me then. All of today then. Give me the first one.
If you want, mate. I'm not going to...
Sean Noakes, points decision win over Matthew Rennie. I think Rennie will cause him problems early on, but I think he'll come out of it and will win comfortably on points.
Same. Just drop in there.
Should we just copy Harry for this whole thing?
Wherever you go for, I go.
Aloys Yumbi, Lewis Oakford, cruiserweight 10 rounder. Harry, what are you going for?
You just swapped this as well.
Points decision.
I've got Yumbi stoppage.
I've got Yumbi stoppage.
I think we're all going to agree on this one.
Lawrence Okolie, Hussein Mohammed.
It's going to take him a couple of rounds to get going, I think, Okolie, but I think he stops him in the 6th round.
I've gone stoppage as well.
Yeah, stoppage for all three.
Solomon Dacres, David Adeleye, heavyweight 12 rounder, English title fight. What are you going? Oh, sorry, I was going to give my answer then, but you're going first, didn't you? So what are you going for?
I'm going to, well, I don't know, I think Dacres by knockout. Why not? I liked.
I'm going Dacres points decision.
I've gone different to you two. I've gone Adeleye stoppage.
Ooh. I think if Adeleye wins, it will be by stoppage. But I think Dacres will win it. I think he's got the quality to do so. Sam Noakes, Ryan Walsh. This is going to be a tough one to call. It's just like, it seems so stupid to predict that Sam Noakes won't get a knockout, but it also seems so stupid to predict that Ryan Walsh is going to get knocked out. But 12 rounds against Sam Noakes just seems impossible.
I've gone Noakes by stoppage.
Well, what happened there then? Now I'm going to be...
What are you going for?
Oh, he's copying
Sam
no
Noakes
shock.
knockout.
You're copying Ben.
I know,
You can't-
unbelievable.
for
You
crying
didn't
out
stick
loud.
to the script, man.
Nah.
God.
Yeah, you didn't read
But
his WhatsApp message.
Can I just say, I'm a big fan of Ryan Walsh, and I think he'll start strong, but I think as the fight goes on, because I think Noakes is very durable, he'll slowly but surely get him out of there round 9, 10.
Yeah, I think it'll be a late finish if it is a finish. You say you're a big Ryan Walsh. I'm a big Sam Noakes fan. I've made that. I've been very subtle about that. I don't like to let that on. But
It's like me and Johnny Fisher.
yeah, exactly.
Friends.
Brad Poole versus Denzel Bentley, middleweight 12 rounder.
This is hard to call. This is. Bentley's actually got majority of the votes on the app as well.
What are you going for, Mr. Tovey?
I really like what I saw from Paul's at the press conference, the confidence that he had. So I believe that he will stop Bentley.
Stoppage.
Yeah.
What are you going for?
Paul's by decision.
He
Just-
copied me there. and
I
so-
think Paul's looks really, really good. Looked very good against Heaney, but I think Denzel will be like his name, too sharp for Paul's, and I think he's going to get the knockout. I think he's going to have learnt from his mistakes. I can't even be bothered to work out the rounds on this one. There's so many fights, isn't there?
I'll just go there. 59.
I'll stick it
And
on.
now, this is where Ben is going to make a massive, massive comeback this year.
Is he?
Yeah.
From now on.
Yeah.
We still can't forget the fact that you did predict Fury to win, didn't you? That is like the ultimate one that you lost. Or did you?
No, you predicted Fury to
Did
win.
you?
No,
Is
I
it-
picked Usyk.
I feel like you. I know.
He
'cause I feel like
changed
you
his
bottled
mind.
it, didn't you?
He did
I
bottle it.
definitely didn't.
Come the
I
end
was the
of-
first to say.
This is like the last episode now.
I'm
This
not-
guy's a stirrer.
I'm
This
not getting
guy is
dragged
a
into this.
stirrer.
I was the first to
Don't
say
bite.
Usyk would
Don't
win.
bite.
No, I was.
Do not bite. We'll have him later. You'll have another black eye.
Yeah, that's rumour.
I hope everyone's enjoyed listening to the last episode of this podcast.
Yeah, the last ever. We finished on what's that? Oh, we finished on 69. I think will be our last one. That's fun.
Respectful.
69th episode.
That's a
and
funny
the
way to
final.
end. Well, it's that time of year as well now, talking about that fight.
What,
where
69? Oh, sorry.
What's up? When I brainwashed myself into thinking that Fury's going to beat and absolutely destroy Usyk.
Yeah, if you guys can do us a favour, between now and Christmas, just comment a few times every episode. Just be like, I think Fury's going to win. Because we know Harry will read them. And then, or Ben will just get really triggered and send a nice, lovely, well thought out, well mannered response to you, as he always does.
What was it? Lee was having it.
Lee can fuck off.
Yeah.
Ooh. Right, let's end the episode before we get cancelled. Thank you all for listening. Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We'll catch you all next week.
But punches chance. Punches Chance Podcast.